Are we live?
Yep.
Cool. Hey everyone. So this is my name is Peter, and Peter Muhumza, and my friend Kevin O'Toole in Montreal. I'm based in Vancouver, and so we are having a discussion about a book that we read. The book is called "Is Atheism Dead?" by Eric Metaxas. And so this is going to be an ongoing discussion about our take on like what we think about the book. Yeah, so basically we're going to have a lot of episodes. If you like what we're talking about, please comment, share the video, subscribe. We need your input. This is a learning experience. We're all learning. We're all on a journey. So yeah, so basically the book is centered on 5 main topics. And yeah, this is what we're going to be discussing in the coming episodes. But today we're going to discuss about the first subject, which is the Big Bang. So basically I'm going to go through about the topics that we want to expect in the coming future. And that's the first one is the Big Bang. Basically what he says here, just to give you a little glimpse of what he talks about it, is it was believed that by scientists, physicists, you know, like back in the before the 19th century, or even early the 19th century, most scientists, most physicists, they believed that the universe had no beginning, that it was infinite, it had no beginning, it was self-created, and so there was no need, basically there was no need to explain the beginning of it. And yeah, so, but as science advanced with the like more precise way of like looking into this space by Hubble and other astronomers, they discover a lot of things, and we're going to talk about that today. So that's the first subject. The second subject is what he calls the fine tuning. With scientific advances, scientists have basically now concluded that the conditions necessary for living things, for life to emerge, to emerge and to be sustained on this earth would not have happened by itself, and cannot actually, but just by the mere fact that the way things are, the way the objects like the earth that we live on, the sun, the moon, everything, the way they are orchestrated, like it's not by accident that they are arranged the way they are arranged, and hence sustaining life. So we're going to talk about that in details when we read that topic. And then there's a biogenesis, which talks about this is the one that talks about actually how life emerged from a non-life. As science progressed, for example, like after the discovery of DNA, there has been a shift in what about what scientists think about how life emerged on Earth from non-life, from non-life. And then the fourth subject is about archaeological discoveries in the Middle East. Well, yeah, I forgot to mention that Eric Metaxas is a Christian, and what he's trying, like the point, when you read his book, like the thing that you see most is that he's trying to show that science and the Judeo-Christian religion are not against each other. Like you can be a scientist, you can reason as a scientist, and at the same time, and it can support your faith. So this topic about the archaeological discovery, this is mainly is he's trying to show that the people who discard the Bible and who think that the Bible is just like folktale stories, actually there's now been like some discoveries that actually support like it's not more like, just stories that were told, from generations, but there's actually some tangible, things that support, the Bible. And then the fifth one is the evolution of atheism. This is mainly we're going to talk about the most prominent atheists, people who the most prominent atheists like Jean-Paul Sartre, Albert Camus, Anthony Flew. We're gonna look at their lives, what they were putting out there, what they were talking about, what they were preaching, and if it actually squared with, their day-to-day life, or even how their lives ended. So we're going to talk about that. And so with that, let's get into the main topic for today, which is the Big Bang. And hey, Kevin, why don't you tell us what you think when you read, after you read the Big Bang, the topic, how he presents his topic here, like what came out, what was your thoughts on the book?
Yeah, I thought it was an interesting read, and I just want to first say I was actually most impressed when I first opened the book at the names in the praise section in the very first page. Dennis Prager, who I really respect, is on there, and he says that Metaxas versus atheism, it's not a fair fight. I like that. But the even more striking one is the long quote by Alexander Solzhenitsyn. I can't pronounce his name, but he's the guy that wrote about the gulags after having escaped them. And he repeats a great quote. He goes, "Men have forgotten God, and this is why this has all happened." Talking about the gulags and all the stuff that went on there. So it's really good that these kind of people, and both those people are very Christian, obviously, too, just like Metaxas. And so they have like a dog in the fight, I think. And the first thing they go after is the Big Bang. I have a lot of good. There's a lot of good stuff in here. There's like detail and stuff, but I honestly think he misrepresents sort of the ideas that he's like fighting against. Because first of all, I think I could be wrong about this, but it wasn't really believed among the scientific community that like it was super long, the creation time, that it was infinite even or anything. After the Bible was used, remember, I think they figured 4004 BC, the guy Ulster or something like that, he had figured it was when the creation began. I mean, not a lot of people subscribe to it necessarily, but it was thought to be like not that old, let's say like 6,000 years max, But then all of a sudden they started discovering like these dinosaur bones, and it was kind of, the picture was getting a little bit clearer that it seemed to be a little bit older than what we figured in the millions of years even. And even a couple of centuries ago, they thought it was a couple millions of years, but they never really thought it was forever. And the steady state theory, which I don't think he goes into too much here, but he does allude to it. And he does say that the settled science during this period was that the universe was eternal and unchanging. I honestly don't think that's accurate. There was a period when they didn't really know what was happening. Like they were beginning to doubt what was in the Bible because of the, let's say, the Royal Academy and that French scientific society. They were really penetrating questions. They were casting doubt, let's say, on religion. And at the same time, there was an anti-religious feeling among the people doing that. So maybe they had, motivation to investigate certain things that they thought would disprove the Bible, let's say. But I don't think they ever really believed that it was unchanging and like eternal. Do you think that? I don't know.
So I can't, like, you talk about so the good thing about reading this book, he's specifically talking about, for example, he talks about Albert, like on this subject about the Big Bang, he talks about mainly Albert Einstein, Sir Arthur Edinburgh, the English physicist, and then Sondland, and he mainly talks about them and their work. So I'm not saying that what you're saying is not true, but I think it would be better if you had like names, like a list of like a body of work that actually disapproves of, like, because we all know, like, we know how Albert Einstein is influential in
of course,
as a physicist or as a scientist, and on this subject of like how basically when you, so do you dispute when like, for example, he talks about, like, how the theory of the Albert Einstein theory of his work on the the theory of relativity and what he found. Do you dispute that? Do you say that's not real, or what is your take on that? Like,
Absolutely
example,
not. No. That's, I mean, what they kind of proved, actually, in my book and everybody's book, actually, that gravity bends electron streams. Like it bends light because it attracts it and kind of bends it towards it. They used like a certain stars, I forget, Tori, in the Tau system. They saw it bent around the sun when they were watching it from certain points. That's what Einstein discovered. They used that in the book, and Eddington kind of used that as the idea behind, like, now they're somehow proving with that gravity and Einstein's theories that the universe had to have erupted a certain way, had to have a beginning. And it's like, for me, like a too much of a stretch in logic, where that I do totally agree with what he's saying, the findings. I just don't believe what he says, or they say the findings prove in reality.
Wait, say that again. You don't believe?
Well, he says, basically, what the book expounds here is that the universe was actually expanding on page 17 at the very end.
Yes.
And they use the idea that gravity is bending the light around the sun as we're watching it.
Yes.
That time is involved, but also that proves, kind of, or at least that's what their underlying premise is, that the universe is expanding somehow.
Yeah. So the way I understood this, and I'm not a physicist, I'm not claiming to be a scientist, but the way I understood this is basically, and this is why he talks about, like, the mistake Albert Einstein realized later on when he actually came up with the cosmological constant. Because when like, his theory of relativity basically explains that it talks, the way I understood it, it basically talks about the way that matter curves space. And so he was thinking that, okay, now, yeah, so if there's this gravitation force that is pulling all these objects, like, towards the center of the universe, like, why don't everything come crashing together? That's not the case, right? There's this gravity that is pulling everything, but at the same time, we have these other bodies that are suspended that are not actually crashing towards us. So that was, like, kind of like a mystery. So, this was in theory, even before they actually looked into, like, he went with Sir Eddington to look into the telescope and all that stuff. What basically convinced me is that you find Einstein doing his work completely independent, and then there's this Russian also physicist who also later on goes through Einstein's work and verifies it, and then there's this George Lemaitre, the priest in Belgium, who also confirms what he's talking, and then there's Hubble in the US looking into the telescope, and then he discovers he has also the evidence supports this, which is the redshift evidence, whereby when they looked at these objects, now by then called the nebula structures, which in the beginning Galileo thought that these were like stars or like clouds, like because he had this small telescope, I believe, so by the advance of science, there's Hubble looking at these objects, and the redshift, basically what I understood about it is that the red light corresponds to the what is it, the longer
photoelectric effect.
So like it's like the longer it corresponds to the longer wavelength. So what Hubble concluded was that the objects that he was looking at were actually receding from the Earth. They were just like going, and in his own, he discovered that they were really far away from us, And so when what was interesting, what I understood. So so they were like, wait a minute, if this is the case, after like the priest in Belgium was also confirming that. So if you rewind the process, then and you rewind and you rewind and you rewind the process, so everything comes to as like a really tight, point.
A grain of sand, as I read here. First a pea and then a grain of sand.
Yeah, something like that. So that was really now for me. What the reason why I'm interested in this is like, okay, these are really men. These are human beings trying to understand the way the universe began and all that. But I have another view. I don't want to bring it in here, but I have another view, which whereby, if I talk from a Christian point of view, God has already answered this question. He says, from the beginning there was nothing, and then boom, I made this and this and this. So anyway, let's go back to the book. But yeah, this is interesting. I don't know.
I don't know too much about the redshift. It is very interesting, but it seems like a leap of faith, to be honest, because these are the most distant things that we can see to begin with, right? These are the galaxies, the Andromedas, and all these far distant, the most distant things we can see apparently have a redshift. The electrons seem to be coming away from us, sort of. You know what I mean? That's what it's supposed to be. Like it's or either you're approximating, but like, why not have them receding and other parts not receding and coming towards us? I know. I'm sure that there's no place. There's not every single place around us expanding outwards, because we're not even the center of the universe. How could we be, right? So why would everything be expanding from us in the first place? We wouldn't have been anywhere near that singularity, proving that, like, it would be expanding from a third. Like if we're in a 3D diagram, we're actually not in a 3D diagram. We're in like a weird one with like time and stuff. But if we're in a 3D diagram, it's still far away from us, essentially. It has to be.
Yeah, so that's why we need people to comment and try to also,
teach me what the redshift is. I have no idea. I'm gonna say I'm so ignorant of it because I really think that
So yeah, they're actually I think that was the discovery by Hubble. If I may be wrong, but I think by basically discovering that that these objects, the light that was emitted from these objects was actually receding from us. They used, I think they used, the light, the prism, the prism. I think it's the prism. So when you shine a light in the prism, and
you ever seen that cover of Dark Side of the Moon there? That album. It's a Pink Floyd album where it's on the cover. It's a prism and it shows how the light bends off. The white light comes in and creates the rainbow.
I remember that. So yeah, so that's how they came to that conclusion. But yeah, this was a very interesting. He doesn't talk much about it. I think he would have given us like more, but in the book, yeah, he kind of like it's condensed. Like he doesn't talk much about this topic.
I'm curious, actually. I'm curious what you think about the stuff that he saw in his telescopes. Like he's seeing these distant galaxies that look a lot like ours. Like a big spiral thing, and there's got to be planets in there, right? Do you think there's life in ours or another galaxy?
I mean, it's possible. It is possible, but until we know for sure,
right?
Until we know for sure. I don't know. There's talk about aliens. There's talk about that. I don't know how all these things factor into this problem. But I know for sure that, for example, like if there are aliens out there, man, that's gonna change. If it's true that they are out there, it's gonna change a lot of things. Especially
one thing it shouldn't change though is morality, right? Morality shouldn't change regardless. Like. It shouldn't hurt religion like they're fearing. I have a big idea that if aliens came out of the woodwork or just suddenly descended on us or whatever, that it would hurt religion. I don't think it would. Like people are going to be good because they're good, and if they're going to follow a certain religious precepts, that's not really going to damage them necessarily. The absence of extraterrestrials from the Bible, it was just a random thought that I had. Because I mean, life outside would kind of affect this guy's book. I mean, he doesn't go into it, of course, in the Big Bang, but I mean. He's insinuating that we are the center of the universe almost, that our importance is paramount to creation even, I would assume. I would assume. I don't know for sure.
Yeah, I mean, only as if you consider only our Milky Way, because at least we've explored. I don't know how exhaustively, but I think we know that there's life on the moon. We know that there can be life on Jupiter or what. So as if you consider only our the Earth, then I think we are the most important. We are the most important beings on this planet. We have a conscience. We can reason. We are way better than the chimpanzees and the other animals.
We wear pants.
What's that?
I said we wear pants.
We wear pants. Yeah, we wear pants. Yes. So yeah, basically, yeah. That's the first topic. I didn't think it was gonna be that short. But yeah. So next time we're gonna talk about where science cannot go, the Big Bang and other singularities. So we're gonna kind of like expand on this, because we're still in chapter 1. So we're gonna talk more about this, and then we're gonna come back to actually and talk about the fine-tuned planet. Then we will talk about what is this here. The fine-tuned universe. So we're going to we're still in this subject for the next at least 3-4 episodes. So we're gonna come back to them and talk about them deeply, in detail. So with that, I just would request that if you like what we're talking about, if you think this is important, please share this video, subscribe to the channel, and and also like ask questions or answer or like give us
enlighten
us, because I'm not a physicist. Like I
Don't
like
sell yourself short. See you guys next time. Bye bye.
Yeah, so, take care. Bye.